Whenever I discuss the idea of investing in real estate overseas, whether it's a lifestyle property in a place like Malaysia or Montenegro or even the Netherlands, or whether it's a solid investment in ultra cheap real estate in a frontier market, people ask, Andrew, you've been doing this for a long time. What is your secret to finding great real estate deals? How do you do all these great deals? I'm going to tell you the secret in this video. Hey guys, I'm Andrew Henderson, and if you'd like to learn how the Nomad Capitalist team can personally help you create a holistic offshore plan to cover not only your real estate deals, but legal tax reduction, things like second passports, learn more at nomadcapitalist.com. So how do you find good real estate deals overseas? I'm going to tell you the secret, and that is there is no secret. I'm going to explain that more in a moment, but first let me tell you if there's one thing that I would tell you to do that's important, the so-called secret, is take advantage of good deals when they come up. About 6 or 7 years ago, I was in Budapest, Hungary, and I was talking to some folks there. They said, you know, this is the cheapest capital city to buy real estate in the European Union. There were some incredible deals. I mean, we talk about $1,000 a meter as being the standard for dirt cheap property in a city center. I think there were some deals back then in Budapest that met that standard. I mean, I was looking at stuff for 50,000 euros. You could buy something, okay condition, probably needed some touch-up work, but in a good location that you would like to be in Budapest. Now, since then, it's become quite a nomad hub, and prices have gone up. I don't know exactly where they are because I stopped following it a while ago. I don't know that it's exactly the best place to be anymore from a real estate investment standpoint. And we've seen that in markets all around the world. I've talked in other videos about markets like Tbilisi and Phnom Penh are going up in price. And so what I can tell you, even going back to 2008, my first trip to Portugal as an adult, I don't think that I had enough money to do much in the way of real estate deals back then. I was just starting out in business. I've been in business for a couple of years. But, I mean, that was the time to do it. Now Portugal is quite simply the prices are too high. Maybe you buy for immigration reasons and you do so as carefully as possible. But by and large, the deals were incredible back, 08, 09, 2010. And now it is too late. Prices go up. So it's the same thing I tell you about, getting that offshore bank account where the minimum deposit is $500, and then you look back 5 years from now and it's $20,000 or $1,000, and now it's $50,000. It's the same thing as the passport that was once affordable and then they raised the price, or the passport that had very low fees and now they added a big fee. Prices for this kind of stuff tend to go up. But really, the reason why I say there's no secret to finding good deals overseas is there's no good secret to finding deals anywhere. The secret is you have expertise, you know what you're doing, and you make money when you buy. Okay? You have to make money in real estate when you buy. You cannot just expect a booming market to cover up a multitude of sins. It's not a sustainable strategy. So how do you make money when you buy? Well, in your local market, especially if your local market is in a Western country like the United States, the UK, Australia, you're going to rely on local expertise that you already know. You probably already know some real estate agents. You've probably already done some transactions. Okay, it's a very Western thing in real estate. Lots of transactions. The average American lives in their home for about 6 years on average, whereas the average person in a country in Eastern Europe might own a home for their entire lifetime and then pass it down to their children or even grandchildren. Okay, far more transactions in the West. Far higher level of service in many Western economies. And as a result, you have websites like Zillow where you can go on and pinpoint the value of your property. You've got a lot more data, you've got a lot more analytics, and you've got a lot more people parsing that data and putting it out there for public consumption. In especially emerging and frontier markets, you don't have nearly that much data. Okay? So, in some of these emerging markets, prices are determined finger to the wind. And you have to know which sellers are just putting out a make me move price. Hey, if someone's stupid enough to pay this, you just got to know. How do you figure that out? Well, you have to be on the ground. And so people ask, Andrew, how have you done these deals? I don't have some amazing superpower at doing deals. My superpower is I go and I find opportunities. I look at things from a global perspective rather than just my own, national perspective. Okay, I'll compare prices per square meter in cities, and so when I look at Baku versus Tbilisi, for example, Baku in Azerbaijan, Tbilisi in Georgia. Baku, in my experience, has been more expensive than Tbilisi. I look at them on a somewhat level playing field, somewhat similar levels of development. Yes, Azerbaijan has oil, but they're both kind of the same size. So I'm looking at why is one substantially cheaper than the other? Okay, I wouldn't look at Tbilisi the same way I look at Istanbul, which has close to 20 million people and has a higher birth rate and has people moving into the city from a much larger domestic economy. I might compare that more to a Kiev in Ukraine or to a Bogota in Colombia. So I like to compare apples to apples around the world and see where the deals are. Once I find out where those deals are, I go to the market. And so in the case of Georgia, just because we've talked about Georgia so much, I've spent years on the ground in Georgia. I did my first deal by driving around with a real estate agent who, she's kind of a nice girl, but really, terrible real estate agent. I've said, I've been in Georgia for 6 years now. I have 2 real estate agents that are good. 2. Mrs. H and I went to Mexico. We just did a casual, viewing, like kicking the can around. Hey man, sorry we're not buying anything. Here's a nice bottle of tequila. We don't want to waste your time, kind of thing. We found 2 good agents in a day because it's a more developed market. Anyway, drove around in Tbilisi, saw a bunch of properties. The first one was like, oh, that's okay. Guy seems nice, whatever. The second and third ones were terrible. I needed to do something. I just wanted to get a deal going to learn. And I said, all right, let's do that deal with guy number 1. I got fortunate enough that the guy who built the place he does renovations and he did his building, and we ended up forging a relationship, and we're still friends to this day, and I've introduced him to dozens of people who have worked with him and loved him, right? So I kind of got lucky there. But there were some hiccups along the road. I remember the first time when I went back to the property to meet him the second time after I bought it, after I put a deposit down, he was like 10 minutes late, which is very common in Georgia and many countries. And I'm like calling the lawyer, like, what's going on with this? This is ridiculous. Because I figured, like, this is kind of European. Aren't people on time? No, they're not on time. And basically, it was just the process of kind of going through and learning how the market works. Real estate agents aren't that good. They don't have that much data. You've got to think for yourself. It's creating a network. It's all of those things. And so I did that deal. And then I went out and just did another deal. I paid, I think the second deal I paid $509 a meter. And then the third deal I found something for like $400 a meter that was in really terrible shape. And then I called that guy and said, hey, don't you do renovations? Yeah, okay. And he came over and we did a renovation. And that was when I really learned that I can trust him, because I did a renovation where the whole floor was rotten out. And he said, hey, we're going to have to remove the floor. He's like, I'm not going to charge you much more for it. It was like an extra $1,000, I think. And they totally ripped the place apart and fixed it. And I realized, hey, this is a guy I can trust. He didn't have to tell me that. And so it was the process of trial and error. It was a process of, at one point, I hired someone for 3 months to be my personal assistant and to call every real estate listing. That's when we realized, on a scalable level, if you call 100 listings in some of these countries, maybe only 8 are seriously for sale. Many of the rest of them have been sold, sometimes years ago, or the people changed their mind and they didn't cancel the listing. It was a waste. I went through the process of buying bank-owned properties, and I learned in the case of Georgia, sometimes if you buy bank-owned properties, the sellers or the former owners' neighbors are going to retaliate against you because you took their friend's property. Okay? And so the secret is being there. The secret is living it. It's being in the soup. Okay. Same thing in Cambodia, and the same thing in other markets, which is why each year I try and do more and more deals. We've built out our real estate team so that the team can now handle all the numbers and the analysis and the data, and then I can just go and check at the markets, make the investments, and learn. I bought a property in Colombia recently. I think I got a pretty good deal. When you look at the third or fourth deal, if I continue buying property there, if you look at the third or fourth deal I'll do, it'll be better. And while there were no fatal mistakes, there were tiny little mistakes that were made. I don't know if any of them cost money. Remains to be seen at this point. But that's how it works. If you look at in any country where I've been going, that is the secret sauce. It's doing it. It's no different than whatever you do in your business. It's no different than anything else in life. I mean, you have to lose your real estate virginity, and the first time isn't really that good. Now, you can use all the data. You can use local connections. You can use some of the resources that a firm like Nomad Capitalist has to help you do the best as possible. And certainly, one thing I tell people who come to us is, if someone wants to get the Portugal Golden Visa, we had a gentleman say, I'll waste 100,000 euros overpaying for a property if I get my citizenship. And I said, there's no need to do that, right? I'm not going to charge you 100,000 euros to give you access to some of the research. So don't do that. Don't overpay. I told the story about people who bought real estate in Turkey for citizenship by investment. They overpaid by like 70%. They overpaid by 200% actually, right? They paid $1 million for a $300,000 property. There's been cases of some of these golden visa programs where agents take 20 or 30 or even 40% commissions before the government reins it in. So don't do that. Have the data going in, but do understand that the second deal is better than the first. The third deal is better than the second. The fourth deal is better than the third. Someone like myself who's been there can certainly help you reduce the vast majority of overpayment by cutting out expat real estate agents, by not dealing with developers who, of course, always tell you you're going to make a fortune, you're going to retire on their one property. If you can remove that and just get right into the local market, you'll do a lot better, but you're still not going to be as good the first time. So the key is repetition. That's the secret to doing well. And the secret to even getting to that position is just doing the deals in the first place. Sometimes, really all the time, I guess, I just dive in. I have the data, I have the metrics, but you're never going to feel fully confident. I think that's what some people are looking for. They're looking to feel 100% confident, nothing can ever go wrong. You're never going to have that in anything. You're never going to have that buying the house next door, okay? And this is the issue. It's an emotional issue. Because it's overseas, because you've been told overseas is scary and what could happen, you have these natural fears, and that's normal. And that's okay. But understand that they're there, acknowledge them, and say that the biggest thing standing in your way, besides having the local knowledge, is just the ability to jump in and do a deal. Jump into the pool head first. Don't dip your toe in the water. Just dive in. Know that it'll be okay. Know that you can figure it out. And then once you're in, you can learn, you can adjust, you can adapt, you can build your knowledge. That's what I've done. If you want help with some of these deals, we've put things together like the Real Estate Masterclass. We just did our first 2. We're having more of those. We help people with customized plans. You can learn more at nomadcapitalist.com. But whether you want to work with Nomad Capitalist or not, that is the secret. There is no secret. You just have to get in and grow. How can Nomad Capitalist help you? 4 ways. Number 1, subscribe to our channel and click the notification bell to make sure you get our new video every day. Number 2, get a copy of Nomad Capitalist, the book. You'll learn a lot of my personal experiences over a dozen years of studying this stuff, as well as exactly some of the strategies that you can use to build your Nomad Capitalist plan. Number 3, if you're not sure where to start, but you want to come and learn from my team and I, you want to come and mingle with like-minded people, learn more about our live conference, Nomad Capitalist Live. It's coming up soon. And number 4, if you want some help right now because you've got a burning issue, you need something solved, you want to lower your taxes, get a second passport, or build the Nomad Capitalist lifestyle of your dreams, go to nomadcapitalist.com and click on Become a Client.